Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.
Hello and welcome back to Undercurrent. I'm Christy Mollica. Well, next up, Lauren Bellini takes a look into a brand new survey undertaken by the University of Western Australia, which has found that television advertising is a contributing factor to our youth starting to drink much earlier.
New research led by the University of Western Australia has shown there are high levels of alcohol advertising on television during times where children are likely to be watching. The 2-month study, led by Professor Simone Pettigrew, aimed to determine the extent of alcohol advertising on Australian television, both in total viewing time and at times where children are most likely to be watching.
I'm the Director of the Health Promotion Evaluation Unit that resides in the school here for Sports Science, Exercise and Health at the University of Western Australia. We captured an enormous data set of more than 93,000 ads, of which we had a large number of alcohol ads as well, so nearly 3,000 that we were able to analyse and to see what kind of messages were being portrayed. We looked across the 4 commercial television stations that run across the country, so that's an important thing to note. Even though there are a substantial number of alcohol ads, this is the tip of the iceberg. This was just for mainstream channels, doesn't include private cable television, and it doesn't include all the other digital stations that also exist these days. Children are actually watching television in large numbers up until about 10:30 p.m, and as a result they're being exposed to a lot of the alcohol advertising that's occurring.
Do you think it's appropriate to show alcohol advertisements during times where children could be possible viewers?
I think it's a bit inappropriate, but it's more up to the parents to control what they watch.
Because if the state is about no children under 18 should be drinking, why would you advertise when kids could be watching it? Because they're going to want to learn more about it, because at a time of a young age is when kids want to become more knowledgeable.
Oh, probably not. Probably best to keep it to later times, probably.
Absolutely. Kids, parents drink all the time, and I don't think it's really going to make them want to drink. It's really more of educating the children.
It's such a drug. I mean, it's legal, but it's still a drug.
I don't think so, really, because the kids will get influenced and be like, okay, I want to try that out.
Children should not be exposed to that. Should not start when they're so young.
In another study of 30 alcohol advertisements to which children were most frequently exposed, all contained at least one element that was particularly appealing to children.
We were mainly focusing on the themes. We know, for instance, that children are particularly interested in advertisements that show themes of friendship, that show humour and that show animals. So we were looking closely for those kinds of themes, and we certainly found lots of those in the alcohol advertisements. As we've always been under the assumption that once you got to sort of 11 or 12 years of age, you were able to understand what we call persuasive intent, that an advertiser is trying to make you do something, which means that you can use your defence forces to react against that. Unfortunately, in more recent years, they've done a whole lot of subconscious testing, and we know that there's a whole lot of subconscious processing that's actually occurring below the level of consciousness.
The findings, published in the Drug and Alcohol Review by the Australian Professional Society of Alcohol and Other Drugs, show that TV ads are likely to encourage young people to view alcohol as an inexpensive product closely associated with fun, friendship, physical activity and best bought in bulk.
Do you think that alcohol advertisements represent alcohol as something that's fun and everyone should be doing?
Possibly, especially if their parents drink anyway.
Yeah, of course it does, you know. People see stuff on TV and they think, oh, I want to buy that drink, like I did when I was little, you know what I mean?
It's advertised like that, but it has a negative side also, and they should be aware of that, and they only see the happy side.
I guess sometimes some of the beer ads can, but I think it probably is a part of Australian culture, so it's a bit hard to stamp it out completely.
If they see it during those times, they'll definitely do it. And there's a lot more influence, because you're already being influenced by peers as well.
The 2 months of advertising that we looked at just across 4 stations, we're looking at nearly $16 million worth of payments just for the airtime. So that's not production costs or any other advertising costs, that's just the airtime. So if you extrapolate that out across a year, you're looking at about $100 million just from 4 stations just for alcohol advertising.
Concerned viewers are urged to lodge any complaints they may have about alcohol advertisements with the Alcohol Advertising Review Board. I'm Lauren Bellini, reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, next up here on Undercurrent, Fernanda Mizzen takes a closer look at the brand new maternity laws that appear to be a win for new mothers.
The government average paid maternity leave at Australian companies is currently 9.5 weeks. Now, Insurance Australia Group is the first company to offer a brand new scheme.
Essentially, previously IAG offered offered 14 weeks of fully paid parental leave. Now, with this change, we are offering 20 weeks at full pay, and part of that is now a new welcome back payment. So when IAG employees come back from their parental leave, they'll get a double payment for their first 6 weeks back.
But whether or not it's enough to make a woman, make a mother go back to work and actually leave their kids behind, because that's a tough thing to do as well. So whether it's enough, I don't know, but it's something.
This insurance company has looked at structuring their payment as an incentive for women to return. And I can understand that. That's obviously a consideration for them. They've trained people up and they want to make sure that they retain those employees. So, yeah, I think it's a clever way of structuring the benefit for women on maternity leave.
This program will help my husband and I immensely as we start our family. I'm 29 weeks pregnant with my first child. So this program is just going to be wonderful in terms of helping my husband and I be in the best possible financial position we can be as we start our family.
I mean, I can understand that women have to go back to work, so you can't always be at home with your babies. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing.
It's good for a number of reasons. In WA, for instance, we've got a big skill shortage, and the state government has identified that underemployment amongst certain demographics is one of the areas that they want to address. So they've identified that women of childbearing age is one of the groups that's underrepresented in the workforce. So anything that keeps women attracted to the workforce, keeps them in the workforce either before they have children or after they have children is a good thing.
The government's always say, have kids, so build the population up. So yeah, why not? Give mothers more money to come back to work, and why not? If it helps out, it's a good thing.
It would definitely help, and even if the fathers could get the paternity leave also, that would help.
Obviously with the additional payment incentive, that will help extensively with things like childcare costs. So I'll just feel really a lot more comfortable returning to work.
I don't know if it encourages people to have kids, but it certainly makes the decision, if you're going to have kids, it certainly makes the decision easier to know that there's that option when the mother does go back to work.
Ultimately, it's a matter for individual companies to do what's right for them, right for their workforce and right for their particular business. But fundamentally, I guess we would say that companies that choose to go down this particular path, we think perform better, and there are benefits to those companies involved.
When women return from maternity leave, it is up to them to negotiate with the employer any flexibility in their working arrangements so that they can accommodate looking after children. They're smart if they adopt family-friendly policies, and it's not that difficult if people turn their mind to it. That means that while there's a skill shortage, people are more likely to want to go and work for that company if they know that the employer might be flexible around school hours or school holidays, for instance, or around childcare. And I think employers will find that employees will repay them if they do try and accommodate that flexibility.
It seems that this new scheme will make the lives of new mums a lot easier. I'm Fernanda Mizin, reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, next up on Undercurrent, two of our reporters, Roxy Wykes and Janae Tomlinson, have joined forces to report on the new and rather controversial process of fracking.
A controversial gas extraction method has been given the OK to go ahead in the Perth Basin by Environmental Minister Bill Marmion. WA-based firm Norwest Energy is conducting a hydraulic fracture program, despite evidence of fracking having devastating effects overseas.
Fracking is the method by which unconventional gas is extracted from rock. It's called unconventional gas because of the unconventional way in which it's actually extracted, and what it involves is basically drilling down into rock formations and then putting at high pressure water and chemicals down in order to fracture the rock to release the gas that is held within those rock formations.
people don't know about it and the information available is very difficult to get hold of. The government is actually doing everything they can to stop people knowing what chemicals they use. This technique is globally, wherever it's been done, has caused really serious health, environmental and economic loss to the people in that area.
The concerns, I think, particularly for WA, are that it actually requires huge amounts of water every time you conduct a frack, and that's of particular concern in a state like Western Australia, which really has an ongoing issue of lack of water. On top of that, there is issues with the potential, if a frack goes wrong, to contaminate groundwater sources. It actually requires a lot of chemicals to be pumped down as part of that fracking fluid. Up to 350 different types of chemicals are used, so we never quite know which chemicals are going down at any particular point.
Look, we can understand the critical importance in Western Australia of protecting the quality of groundwater resources in the state. We're confident that the practices the industry use provide good isolation and protection for any aquifers, and the chemicals are things of the kind that you'd find in a swimming pool or that you might find in a kitchen. They're used in small quantities and they're covered by strict regulatory guidelines.
Jessica Ernst claims fracking made her water undrinkable. So laden with natural gas, she says, she can light it on fire with a match.
There's certainly no evidence in Western Australia's history, or indeed in the history of the United States, of drilling and hydraulic fracturing for gas impacting water quality. So I think the concerns are misplaced, but I understand we have to address them.
The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, to date has refused to assess any of the rigs that are currently exploring and now for unconventional gas. Now is the time for our environmental regulator to be taking a very keen interest in what's actually being proposed, so that we can determine that if, before this industry takes off to a massive level, and we're talking thousands and thousands of wells, that we make sure it's being done right.
There has been a significant campaign by green groups, not just in Western Australia but in other states, to raise concerns about the expansion of the gas industry onshore. Now, I think those concerns are misplaced, but I can understand for landowners or people in the community trying to work out who to believe in this question, that it's really important that we get some good regulatory practices that the community can have confidence in, that we can get some good quality information out there so that people can rely on it, and that the industry conducts its business in a way that earns the trust of the landowners on whose land it's operating.
The primary concern for farmers is that they don't have the right to basically turn away a petroleum company. The only issue is then debating appropriate amounts of compensation for that farmer. And some farmers are very clear that they want the option to be able to say, no, you can't come onto my land.
This is ordinary people with genuine concerns that are being ignored by a government with a vested interest. It's actually getting promoted by the government with the royalty for regions money is going towards setting this up. This is appalling. The National Party are promoting royalty regions for farmers, yet they're using it for the mining industry against farmers. It's not acceptable.
March last year, I put on the notice paper in the Legislative Council the call for a moratorium on fracking of unconventional gas in Western Australia until such time as an appropriate regulatory regime could be put in place. That's finally coming up for debate. It's due to be debated probably towards late May, and it'll be very interesting to see what the response will be from government, but also from the Nationals, who obviously have concerns about farmers, and it'd be interesting to see what they have to say, and as well as the ALP.
Wake up Australia, we need to stop this because we cannot manage these risks the way it is at the moment. We need proper risk management in place.
When we contacted the Minister, he ran for the hills and declined to comment. It's becoming increasingly evident that people should become more informed of the fracking issue, as it has the potential to have devastating consequences in our state. I'm Janae Tomlinson for Undercurrent.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Undercurrent, but don't forget, if you want to keep up with all the goings on here on Undercurrent and also at WTV, you need to follow us on Facebook or on Twitter, or you can always keep in the loop with our website, wtvperth.com.au. I'm Christy Mollica, and we'll see you next week for more of Western Australia's very own Undercurrent.
Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.